After years of my brother bullying me, my wife dropped the bombshell. I've been having an affair with your brother for years. Our son? He's his. I didn't yell or cry, I just left. What I didn't expect. My dad disowning him, cutting off his funds, and leaving me everything. I'm 32. Male, a software engineer at a tech firm in Boston. I've spent most of my life feeling like an afterthought in my own family, overshadowed by my younger brother. John, the so-called golden child. Our mother, Margaret, has doted on John since we were kids. While I learned to fend for myself early on, it wasn't for lack of trying to fit in. It was just that John could do no wrong in her eyes. And I could do no right. Let me paint the picture. When we were 8 and 10, Margaret would wake up an hour early to make John's favorite pancakes, chocolate chip, extra syrup, while I ate cereal out of the box. She'd fold his laundry and iron his shirts for school. But when I asked for help with mine, she'd say, "Eli, you're old enough to do it yourself. Be a good role model for your brother." She'd ask me to help John with his math homework, even though I was struggling with algebra too, and then praise John for getting an A. Like I hadn't spent 2 hours walking him through fractions. John took advantage of her favoritism, of my willingness to help. He was loud, reckless, and just like our dad, Richard, who traveled for work 5 days a week and never paid much attention to our fights. I was quiet, introverted, wore glasses, and loved coding nerdy, by John's standards. He teased me relentlessly for it. "Four eyes," he'd yell in the hallway. "Loser who sits in his room playing with computers instead of having friends." He'd sneak into my bedroom when I was at school, read my diary where I wrote about being bullied by kids at school, and then run to Margaret crying, saying I hated him and wished he was gone. When I yelled at him for invading my privacy, Margaret would laugh and say, "Boys will be boys, this is how brothers bond." Bonding? It felt like torture. He put stones in my cereal. I spit them out before they chipped my teeth, but Margaret said, "It's just a joke." He nearly broke my glasses by swatting them off my face during a fight over the TV remote. He even joined the school bullies who called me Hairy Monkey and pushed me into lockers, egging them on by saying, "He's a wimp, he won't fight back." The worst part? When I was 16, struggling with depression, we got into a fight over him borrowing my laptop without asking. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Why don't you just kill yourself? No one would care." I ran to Margaret, sobbing, but she scolded me. "Eli, you must have pushed him too far. John doesn't mean things like that." It wasn't until John tried to set my hair on fire at a backyard bonfire that Richard finally stepped in. I was 17. John 15. John thought it would be funny to hold a lighter to my hair while I was sitting on the grass. I smelled smoke and jumped up, screaming, as Richard tackled John to the ground. For the first time, Margaret didn't defend him. Richard yelled at John, "This is assault. If you ever touch your brother again, I'll call the police." He turned to Margaret and said, "You've coddled him long enough. He's a bully, and it's your fault." That night, Richard came into my room, sat on my bed, and apologized. "I should have seen what you were going through," he said. "I thought John would grow out of it, but he's just getting worse." He enrolled me in MMA classes at the local gym saying, "You need to stand up for yourself, no one else will." MMA changed my life. I went from a scrawny kid who ran from fights to someone who could defend himself. 6 months later, John stole my savings, $400 I'd been putting away for a new laptop. I caught him by the garage, about to drive off with his friends. "Give me my money back," I said. John laughed. "Or what? You'll run to Daddy?" Something snapped in me. I punched him in the face hard. He fell backward, crying, and I grabbed my money from his pocket. Margaret ran out, screaming at me, but Richard pulled her aside. When John told his side of the story, Richard said, "You stole from him. You're lucky he only punched you. Next time, I'm calling the cops." John never bullied me physically again, but he turned to verbal attacks, muttering nerd or loser when our parents weren't around. Refusing to talk to me directly, relaying messages through Margaret. I couldn't wait to leave for college. I earned a full scholarship to MIT, my dream school, and on the day I moved out, I felt like I could breathe for the first time. Margaret cried, mostly for John, I think. Richard hugged me and said, "Make us proud." And John didn't even look up from his phone. College was liberating. I made friends who loved me for who I was, excelled in my computer science classes, and even joined a campus ministry group, I'm Christian. And it felt good to be around people who valued kindness. That's where I met Leela, my ex-wife. She was a marketing student, bright-eyed and kind, with a smile that made my chest feel light. We bonded over our shared faith, We both believed in marriage and family, and neither of us wanted kids outside of wedlock. So when Lila got pregnant during our senior year, we got married in a small ceremony at the ministry's chapel, with Richard and Margaret there, and a few close friends. I thought Lila was my soulmate, someone who would never hurt me like John had, but I was wrong. Lila cheated on me twice in our first 3 years of marriage. The first time was with a married co-worker. She said it was a mistake, that she was stressed and lonely while I worked late. The second time was with her ex-boyfriend, during a trip to visit her family in Ohio. Each time, I forgave her. I didn't want Noah, our son, to grow up in a broken home. I loved Noah more than anything, taught him to ride a bike, helped him build Lego spaceships, took him to Red Sox games every summer. I thought if I loved Lila enough, if I worked hard enough at our marriage, things would get better. And for a while, they did. Lately seemed happier, more present, and I convinced myself the past was behind us. Looking back, I was blind to the signs. John and Lila had always been close. Lila said she was trying to fix the rift between us, and I believed her. During family holidays, they'd laugh together, play video games, and sneak off to run errands for Margaret. Thanksgiving 3 years ago, they left the house for 2 hours, saying they needed to pick up a pie from a bakery. When Lila got home, her hair was messy, and she smelled like perfume I didn't recognize. I found a hotel receipt in her purse a few days later from a boutique hotel, 20 minutes from my parents' house, but she said it was from a work trip she'd forgotten to tell me about. I wanted to believe her, so I did. 3 months ago, everything fell apart. I came home from work early, excited to tell Lila I'd been promoted to senior engineer, and found her sitting on the couch, staring at the wall. "We need to talk," she said. Her voice was cold, no emotion. "I've been having an affair with John for years. And Noah, he's his son." I stood there frozen. The words felt like a punch to the gut. "What?" I said, my voice cracking. "That's not possible. Noah is mine." Lila looked at me, her eyes empty. "No, he's not. We started sleeping together during that Thanksgiving trip, you know, the one where we picked up pie. It just escalated. We tried to stop, but the chemistry was too strong. I felt sick. I thought of all the nights I'd stayed up with Noah when he was sick, all the bedtime stories, all the I love you, daddy moments. They were all lies." "Why?" I asked. "Why did you marry me if you loved John?" "Because I didn't want to be the one to break your heart," she said. "You're a good man, Eli, a good father." I thought I could make it work, but I couldn't. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked to our bedroom, packed a bag of clothes, and left. I drove to a hotel downtown, checked in, and sat on the bed for hours, staring at the wall. I thought about Noah. How could I ever look at him again, knowing he was the son of the brother who tormented me my whole life? I thought about Lila, how she'd used me, lied to me, and broken the most sacred vow. I thought about my family, how the one person who was supposed to protect me had stolen everything. The next day, I told Richard and Margaret. Margaret screamed, "John would never do that. You're lying to split our family apart." But Richard put his hand on her shoulder, his face grim. "Let's call him," he said. "Let's hear it from him." I dialed John's number, put it on speaker. He answered, cheerful, like nothing was wrong. "Hey, Eli, what's up?" "Tell our parents the truth, John," I said. "About you and Lila, about Noah." There was silence. Then, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Lila already told me," I said. "Don't make this worse." John laughed, a bitter sound. "Fine, yeah, we're together." "So what? She's happier with me. I'm the better brother, more fun, better looking, more interesting. You were just a placeholder until she realized what she wanted." Margaret gasped. Richard's face turned red with anger. "John," he said, his voice low and dangerous, "you have betrayed your brother, your family, and everything I stand for. You slept with your brother's wife, lied to everyone, and fathered a child with her. You are no longer my son." "Dad, you can't," John started. "I can and I will," Richard said. "Your college funds are gone. I'm not paying for your apartment, your car, or anything else. You're on your own." He hung up the phone. Margaret burst into tears, turning to me. "I'm so sorry, Eli," she said. "I should have seen how John treated you. I should have loved you more. Forgive me." I hugged her, and for the first time in years, I felt her love genuine, not conditional. It was too late to fix the past, but it was a start. Richard hired a lawyer to handle my divorce. Layla tried to fight for alimony, but the judge ruled in my favor her affair, and the paternity fraud made her ineligible. The paternity test confirmed what Leela had said. Noah was John's son. It was the most painful thing I'd ever heard, but it also set me free. I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to love a child who wasn't mine, who reminded me of everything I'd lost. Richard revised his will a month later. He left me everything: his $1.2 million retirement fund, his lake house in New Hampshire, his investment portfolio, and his car collection totaling nearly $2 million. John got $1, a symbolic gesture to acknowledge he was once my son, Richard said. Margaret didn't argue she'd seen John's true colors, and she couldn't defend him anymore. John showed up at their house a week later, begging for forgiveness. He was drunk, disheveled, and crying. "I'm sorry, Mom, Dad," he said. "I messed up. Please give me another chance." Margaret hesitated, but Richard stood firm. "You had your chances," he said. "Leave and don't come back." Margaret turned away, her shoulders shaking, and John left, screaming that we'd ruined his life. 5 months have passed since then. I've moved into a modern apartment in Boston's Seaport District, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the harbor. I got promoted to senior engineer, and my salary has nearly doubled. I go to therapy every Wednesday, talking through the trauma of John's bullying, Leela's betrayal, and the loss of Noah. It's hard, but it's healing. My relationship with Richard and Margaret has never been better. Richard and I play golf every Sunday morning. He stopped talking about work and started asking about my life, my hopes, my dreams. Margaret calls me every night, checking in, and we've started having monthly dinners together. She still misses John, but she knows she can't fix him. He has to fix himself. John's life has fallen apart. He dropped out of college. He was studying business, but couldn't afford the tuition without Richard's help. He works part-time at a mechanic shop, making minimum wage, and lives with Leela in a small apartment outside Boston. They fight constantly about money. John can't keep up with child support, and Leela resents him for dragging her into this mess. I heard from my cousin that John's been asking everyone in the family for money, but no one will help him. They're all disgusted by what he did. Last week, John called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Eli," he said, his voice cracking. "I need help. I can't pay rent, and Leela's threatening to leave with Noah. Please talk to Dad, ask him to give me another chance." I laughed, a cold, empty sound. "You think I'd help you? After everything you did? You bullied me my whole life, stole my wife, fathered my son, and destroyed my family. And now you want me to bail you out? Leela's also to blame," he yelled. "It takes 2 people to have an affair." "I know," I said. "That's why I divorced her. She's your problem now, just like Noah's your problem. You made your bed, lie in it." John started crying. "Everyone's turned against me. Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Lisa, no one will talk to me. I'm alone." "I was alone for years," I said. "Alone while you were the golden child, alone while you bullied me, alone while you slept with my wife. You're not alone, you're just facing the consequences of your actions." I hung up and blocked his number. I didn't feel sorry for him. He'd made his choices, and he had to live with them. I haven't dated anyone since the divorce, and I'm not in a hurry. I want to heal first, to learn to trust again. But I'm hopeful that one day, I'll find someone who loves me for who I am, someone who won't betray me. Someone who will build a family with me based on honesty and respect. For now, I'm happy. I have a good job, great friends, and a family that finally loves me unconditionally. I'm free from John's toxicity, free from Leela's lies, and free to be myself.